And we are live. Peace and blessings, everyone. Happy New Year. Welcome back to my channel, Queen Osset here. And tonight I have a very special guest with me, Aminat Oladipo, the creator, the, um, the mother of this beautiful deck that we are going to be looking into, going in depth with today. So, for those of you, I don't know, I can't see anybody just yet, so everyone might be just coming in, but we're just going to go ahead and talk.
Yeah, yeah.
So, it's January 7th, 2023. I know when we talked a few days ago,
hmm
I told you the reigning Orisha for this year is Oshun and Obatala.
Yes, yeah.
Okay. Were you able to find out anything on the Nigerian side?
The new year is not till June.
Oh, okay. So who was the reigning Orisha from 2020 to?
Ooh, that's a good question. I'm not sure. Oh,
Okay.
that's a good question. Cause
All
it was
right.
because my summer was super busy. I was in Oyo in June. I
Mm-hmm.
should know.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't even remember. I don't remember.
I
But
know.
yeah.
So right. So that's one of the things that we could talk about. So commonly, okay, Tarot Oracle deck reviews. Thank you so much. Hi, Aquamarine 18. Thank you so much
Hi
for being
everyone.
here. Good evening, everyone. This is the secular New Year, but for many of us, I know the Yoruba New Year is in June.
hmm
I'm also Hebrew, so my New Year is September. You
Yeah.
know, for a lot of us, our New Year can be our solar return,
Yeah. It's right.
right?
Right.
Yeah. For the pagan, I don't, is it Wiccan community? I think their New Year starts around October 31st, right? So many, so many. Okay. Hello, Havana. Thank you so much. You're feeling under
Hi,
the weather.
Ivana.
We're
Me
gonna.
too, Ivana.
Oh, you're feeling under the weather. We're gonna take care of that. Like, look, I'm not. I'm
From
not
two
having
days
that.
ago. From two
I'm. You
days
know.
ago, I got picked up.
From,
I ate the wrong thing. I ate my taboo. Speaking of which,
oh,
that
okay.
ties into Oshun. Yeah, I ate some seafood, which I'm not supposed to, by
Okay. You
accident, and
see.
then I
Mm,
just got this stomach thing, and then it went to my lungs, and yeah, for 3 days. That's why I got my tea here.
okay.
But usually,
Mm.
I don't get sick. Usually,
Yeah, you guys are having issues with your throats because I'm feeling it up in here, and I am very mindful of what I'm doing
hmm
when I eat and all of that. So that's not good. Okay. So, oh, I'll be right back. Give me a
okay.
sec.
So how's everybody? Havana, is it like a respiratory thing for you, or is it like just is it stomach? Because it's just like I'm feeling mine was like 4 days, so it's better now. Hi Farah. It's much better for me now.
Hello,
Like
Farah.
that 2 days.
Farah had an interview with Call Astrology. I saw a little bit of that. I'm gonna go back in and watch that, Farah. You look really good. Okay, so today, ooh, a lot. We have a lot to cover, and yet, you know how we do. We're gonna free flow.
Mm-hmm.
As I said, the reigning Orisha, just a bit run down. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, I'm sorry, Havana. Um,
Oh, okay. Sorry about that, Ivana. Yeah, that will take a toll.
yeah, that will. Okay. Well, just be at peace.
Yes.
Try to settle your own personal energy and
Mm-hmm.
such, right? And it's good. Allow the reigning Orisha to actually support you, which is Oshun and Obatala,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Lean into that Obatala energy to give you peace and clarity, you know. Um, that stillness. Um, And actually, that's some of the things that they had talked about for the reigning Orisha this year, is that we should be more mindful of our engagements, the environment around us, really taking care of our this space, this personal space that we occupy, our bodies,
Mm-hmm.
uh, seeking out, of course, fresh water. Um, we talked last time about being in nature, so this year is really,
Mm-hmm.
really going to be important. We should be paying more attention um, to, is it ecology, the world around us. Be mindful of, try to be more sustainable in what we use, how we use things, and all of that.
Yeah.
Um, I watched an episode, I caught a glimpse of something, and someone was talking about being vegan and all of that. And hello, Ange.
Hi,
Uh,
Ange.
hello, Kim. Um, and it's wonderful to be all of these things, right? The less we have to be mindful about what we consume, but we also have to be mindful about that what we're consuming, where is it coming from? See, the idea of being vegan, for it being sustainable, is that you are actually growing those foods and those plants, and you
Mm-hmm.
have
Mm-hmm.
easy access, not that they have to be transported across country for you to get, because that's just as bad as what you don't want to do, which is consume meat, right? If you
Mm-hmm.
live in, I live in a place where mangoes don't grow, right? Avocados don't grow here. And yet these become they're part of my diet. How do they get here to me, right? The
Yeah.
stork doesn't bring them, a truck, a vehicle,
Yes.
right? That's burning gas and using our air and polluting our air and our water, and all of that is bringing that to me in the name of me wanting to be vegan. So these energies, the Arisha energies, are asking us to like really look at our own practices honestly, right? Really break it down. It's great that we want to get on these soapboxes and wave our flag for something, but at the end of the day, we've gotten away from like really doing the research or looking into, well, where did this come from? How did it
Yes.
get here? Why is this here? Right? One of the things that I will never burn sage. I will never burn sage. I don't have a spiritual connection to sage. I don't have an ancestral connection to sage. I don't have a geological connection to where I live. Sage does not grow, right? This is me doing my effort because it doesn't grow. One of the things you could do though is look. This is again Obatala and Oshun, looking at where you are and using what you have right here. Where I live, juniper grows, birch grows, cedar grows,
Mm-hmm.
right? And all of those they serve the same purpose. So,
Yes.
I don't have to burn sage. I think people they intertwine the meaning of saging, which is smoking, and then the herb sage. They intertwine the two of those. So I think that when a lot of people are talking about saging, they're talking about using this aspect of smoke. You can burn any dry bitter bush that grows where you are. Now I don't know why I'm on this tangent. This is probably egg bay because they did right. It's bizarre. Before we got on, guys, so egg bay is, I guess you could say, like your spiritual court,
Mm-hmm.
and I had my deck on the desk and I was setting things up. And then when I got on, my deck was gone. Like
Mm-hmm.
it disappeared. Sometimes I say egg bay, gremlins, we could be operating without even really thinking. We tend to multitask, right? And so you're doing something to the left, but your body is operating to the right. And then when the two come back together, it's like, well, the deck was right here on my right. Like, where did it
Hmm.
come? And it was such a problem that I had to get up and delay the broadcast to go look for the other deck. And when I come back,
The
the
deck was
deck
there.
the deck was there.
Yeah, that's like, but that's a very complex subject matter, and it's like a
Yes.
high it's really complex to get into because the only way I can explain the spiritual soul group, and that's card 11 for anyone who has, or is it lyrical? I only included one. um think of fairies and elves, but in that same category, those little persons and those little entities that can get anywhere,
Mm-hmm.
and are everywhere, and that's how they behave, but that's not who they necessarily are. And they're very, very mischievous, especially when they're trying to get your attention. And yeah, it's a very complex pantheon to get into. And if everything goes well with me with this foray that I'm in, that's going to be the next subject matter that I'm going to get into, that I'm going to bring up a project out on, because it's a very interesting thing.
Yes. So my deck is not in order.
Yeah,
Laura.
mine's is not in order either. Isn't it? Mine's is
Okay.
never in order.
Right? It's never in order, and I have two of them, so that tells you. I, you know,
this is
and then
the this is the only one on
yeah.
so this card is actually one of the categories. So Illyrico, the mistake is like one category of the spiritual soul group. And like I said, it's really complex, so don't worry if what I'm saying doesn't make any sense. They don't we don't categorize them in the same category as Orisha. They're not, because they are actually our spiritual soul group. So I decided to include that in there because this is my category as well. That's why I included. But it's a
Okay.
very, very complex, highly
So if
high
it doesn't, okay, so let's speak on this card. If it doesn't have, so where do they fit into
hierarchy.
this? Yes.
So you're about, you're the pantheon of the spirituality, the spirituality called Yoruba philosophy. Some people say Ifa, just Ifa is just a general term, but everybody knows that. People who know that's the oracle. That's like us saying tarot, the tarot community, and that usually includes oracle decks and different types of tarot. So I'll just, for the consensus, I'll just say Ifa, right? So the spirituality itself has hierarchies, and a lot of people don't realize that there's actually hierarchies. And orishas, the deities that we are discussing, are the ones that are in the middle. Iyami are not orisha. So they may be in the same category as Egbe, but no one has really fleshed that out yet, that idea out yet. So the category in Yoruba spirituality is the creator is the first, the creator god, called Olodumare. So
Hmm.
that's the creator god. And then underneath him or her or they is Ori, our personal creator. So that's, Ori is connected to the creator god. And then in that same level is our spiritual soul group, and that's Egbe. So if you want to say that Egbe is above Orisha, you can, because you can have a person who's like a proficient devotee of Orisha. They could be like 60 years old. Um, for example, Orunmila himself, the first priest, the person that's categorized as the first priest of Ifa on earth, he had Egbe issues. And Orunmila was like, how high can you get to as far as the high priesthood? So there isn't anyone, Egbes, they're just a very mysterious primordial group. And they are the category that we were in, we all of us were in, before we came into this manifestation as humans. So it's Egbe and Ori and Olodumare that was there when we were in that, when we were pure spirit. So that's what that category encompasses. And then underneath them, that said, it's a hierarchy. Sorry, before Egbe, there's actually the ancestors.
Is that the Irumale?
No, you know that Iruma Mole one is a very controversial word because some people say that's Orisha, and some people say that's some of the Orishas that never manifested on
That's it.
Earth.
Right.
Yeah, so it's a very, it depends on who you ask, but the
Yeah.
ancestors are the different. The ancestors are my painting, um the spirit of the ancestors, and then there's Ori and Egbe is in the same level, and then there's Orisha, and then there's us.
Okay. So I've heard that
It's very
Irumale.
complex.
Yes. Right. So again, we do have these the hierarchies.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I think when people step into the Aisha, this is why I say this. Okay, words. Okay, see, they're really messing with me today because they
Mm-hmm.
have so much they want to say, so much they want to do. Okay, y'all gonna need to like calm down for a minute. But um, Omo means child of.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you will always be a child of the Arisha because there's
Mm-hmm.
always so much to learn,
Mm-hmm.
right? The pieces, the things to learn. You can count every grain of sand on a beach and still not learn everything that there is to learn about Ifa, that umbrella,
Mm-hmm.
okay? Because there are so many hierarchies, okay? So when we're putting out terms like Egbe, and that's a society of itself. The
This is
Iyami,
yeah.
right,
Mm-hmm.
is a society in of itself, right? Then you have your Aborishas, Olorisha. That's a society. There's some people who are Olorishas who have nothing to do with Egbe,
Yep. And there are
right?
people who are Egbe who have nothing to do with
Nothing to do
Orisha.
with the Orisha,
Like my
right?
godmother in Egbe, she doesn't have any kind of Orisha initiation, just Egbe.
Exactly. Right.
And she's highly
So,
respected, highly respected. This woman, and one thing about Egbe people, the reason why they're so mischievous, and once you do get a handle on them, is that they are like the mediums. You ever meet anyone in the Western world where they can just walk in a room and they're in the spirit world? They don't need any tools. They can just walk in a room and you can feel them. And they would just read a person. They would look in your face and tell you your life, past life.
mhm,
That's how connected they are.
right.
That's how connected Egbe people are.
So all of this requires devotion and humility. Yeah, somebody has something to say because I didn't have anything going on with my throat until I sat down here. Right. Humility, devotion, study. So where we are, so you created an oracle deck that kind of like enmeshes or addresses a little
Hmm.
bit of each of this, all of this, and yet it's still called the Iyami, the great mothers,
Hmm.
right? Um, because, well, from my perspective, my understanding, they oversee all.
All. When without them, there's nothing. You can't do
Right.
any kind of. There's nothing you can do. You know that. There's nothing you can do in regards to the way we interact with spirit. You have to pay homage to them. Them and
Yes.
issue you and Ori. You have to. And the reason why I call call it the Iyami Oracle, and the reason why I put it on my website, that they are the foundation. These are like factual things that I found because I'm a symbologist. I interact with the natural world in my waking state. I read symbols everywhere. That's how I interact.
Mhm.
Even in the UK, I see so many symbols everywhere that no one really realizes. And then in my dream state, I dream in symbols. In studying the tradition, in penetrating the tradition, talking to so many elders, watching ritual, what I saw that repeated over and over again were the symbols of the Iyami. They were always there, always there. Didn't matter if it was Ogun, Shango, didn't matter where I was. I saw their symbology there in ritual. So that's why I came up with the hypothesis that they really are the foundation of everything.
Everything. Okay. So was it yesterday that we spoke?
Hmm.
Yesterday. Yeah, I gotta go in here. Okay, so Oshumare,
Oshumare. Mm-hmm.
right? So I told you what happened with me. Um, See, when you get, and you're right about symbology, when you get uh, to a place, I guess you could say, of stillness, um, these cards or any form of divination, you start to see it
Mm-hmm.
around you, right? You don't need to. One day we will evolve to a point where we won't, these won't be necessary to
Yeah.
tap into what's already there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, uh, this week, what day was it? Must have been Wednesday, Thursday. Um, my week was rough. Rough. It maybe okay. It was, anytime that things make us uncomfortable, we could say it's rough or da da da, all of that. Anyway, I was sitting in my car and mulling over the day and how things transpired and how things were going on, and it started to rain. I'm like, oh shoot, let me just sit in the car and then I'll go to the house. Right? I just was in that place, and when I looked up, there was a double rainbow.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and that rainbow was a response to something that I had, what was going on in my mind, to the week, and it was like I said, it was double. I took a picture of it because it just meant so much to me, and then I come and tell me a bit more about Oshumare.
Yeah. So Oshumare is the rainbow.
Hmm.
Is basically the rainbow, but the manifestation that she and he comes in is the rainbow serpent. And if anybody's Irish in the chat, they will automatically know about the mythology in Irish culture that says that, anytime you see a rainbow, if you can find the end of that rainbow, the leprechaun, that's where they hide their pots of gold. That's not so far fetched, because on our side in Africa, Oshumare is also the sign of wealth. So Oshumare is a deity, and she manifests in male and female. And I chose to feature her as a pregnant serpent rainbow because of the symbolism that I wanted to get, across. Well, what is really interesting that with the story that you told me is that she's also the first diviner of Ifa now in heaven. Because remember, that's why I say, like, Orumila, the priest, card 8, is the
Hmm.
first diviner in that manifested on earth, right?
Right.
So in the astral realm, in the invisible realm that's been in existence way before the physical realm, Oshumare was the priest. And Oshumare was so proficient with her job as a diviner, she does not lie, even to the detriment of not being part of the group and all that. She keeps, I mean, she's a very, very pure spirit. So
Hmm.
she represents, if you look at the symbolism in that card, you will see embedded in it is a cowrie shell and then a duck and then a rose, because she represents beauty, wealth,
Let me
and
see.
health as well. And she also represents hygiene. Obviously, because the guidebook was so small, I couldn't go into her
See the
stuff.
duck.
But she's a very, on another thing, she's a very old deity. You see her in a lot of the ethnic groups all around West Africa. That is the people in Togo. Togo is a small country right next to Nigeria. She manifests there. She's there. Ghana,
Uh
I
huh.
believe in Ghana. She may have a different name, because in the Voodoo pantheon, she's there. She and he.
Yes.
So it depends on what ethnic group you're. Hey Jada, it
Mhm.
it depends on what ethnic group you're dealing with. she's the name is obviously is going to change. So I believe in the voodoo pantheon, she's Aida
Yeah,
Wedo.
Guido. Mm-hmm.
So she's a very, very, and to how it links to what you were telling me is that she's a diviner as well.
Hello, Jada. So the story, it's not a story. What happened this week, my hours at my job were cut drastically, drastically. Um, and one part of me, let's just say I was 90%, I am 90% at peace, but because I'm human, that other 10% was like, oh, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? Da 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 da. Right. And I saw that rainbow and I just knew that everything was going to be okay. Right. But I need to be 100% at peace. That I'm going to be taken care of, that I'm already blessed, that I put all the, you put all the work in and everything like that. And so,
Sure.
you know, I put, when I saw this card, I was like, okay, I want to know more about you because, what we have that's on this side. We have the bee there,
Mm-hmm.
right? The
Yeah,
cowrie
the bee.
shell,
Yep, the bee, the
right? We have
car
the
shell, the
bee,
duck.
the duck, the carrot, you know what I mean? Now, and the rose. These are also symbols for Oshun
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
as well,
So,
right?
do you see how I say the symbols? Do you see what, from my viewpoint, when you're in this tradition and when you get to the right places, if you keep seeing the repetitiveness
Yes.
of these same symbols, I mean, it's like common sense. If you go to ancient Egypt, there's a bee goddess, I believe, or is that Sumeria? And if you
Mm-hmm.
compare her, there's a bee goddess somewhere in those ancient. If you compare her, she literally sounds like Oshun.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
So that's how the wheels on my head started to turn. Like there's a link. And then with
Right.
Oshimari as well, I was going to say something. The what my godfather told me and my godmother was that when humans see rainbows physically, that's actually Oshimari making herself known to us that she's here, that he's here, she's here on earth, and everything is going to be okay. And that rainbow is a universal thing that it brings blessings.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's a good sign.
It is. And that's another thing as well with this is my own personal journey, right? That manifestation is a big thing, and how long it takes for a lot of people to do things and for things to come to fruition. And with me, some things are almost instantaneous. So number one, as the daughter of Oya, I am well loved by Oshun. Like Oshun has taken care of me. That's my stepmama, if you want to. That's my other mama. That's what I'm gonna say, right? Oshun has blessed me abundantly. Like I never have any issues. Um, and then to be in that place of, within a matter of days for things to come through very, very quickly, just like that. Now, I've heard stories of people, you wait a long time for something to come through. It could be a few weeks, it could be a moon cycle, it could be several moon cycles. And this is what I'm saying about the energy of the Orisha, the energy of the Ifa, the pantheon of Ifa. It can happen very, very quickly as you take your breath.
Hmm.
You know, now this comes from being in a place where um, you don't allow yourself to be distracted by outside things, right? So you and Havana, you're dealing with that, and your body. So now something says you need to pay attention to self now. You
Hmm.
need to like
Hmm.
pull that back to yourself because you're thrown off course, right? And then these are the things when you talk about symbology, we don't, yes, vital, I love that, ital empress, alignment, we're thrown out of alignment. Now the thing is, um, not to constantly strive to be in alignment, right? You can't do that. I feel like the thing is to go with the ebb and flow. That's why I
Mm-hmm.
always say that I don't believe in balance. I do not believe in that because balance creates that tension. But if you're in that ebb and flow, then you can move. You just really think of the waves of the way our body is built, asymmetrical. Honor the moon, 28.5 days, 7 days in the week, 365. We have to make it up. Everything. Only human beings are always trying to get into this place of balance. Right? The only thing that should basically be in alignment is your vehicle. That's what they call, and you have to go and get a realignment
Mm-hmm.
where
Mm-hmm.
your car is not driving straight. So I think instead of trying to achieve this balance and be in that place of creating this tension, try to work, yes, far, especially as women, try to work on being in this place of ebb and flow. And that's why I'm saying this about, because especially because of the reigning Orisha, right? For us now, Oshun and Obatala. These are not energies that are stagnant and 50-50 and imbalanced. There is an ebb and flow. Arumala's number is what? 8.
Mm-hmm.
Right? The 8 on its side is the lemniscate, the ellipse, right? That's that ebb and flow. There's many sides to Obatala as well. You know,
Yes.
there's a dance in Lukumi that Arumala does. It's so moving, all of that, but he does this dance. If you watch my hand movements, you don't even know what's happening, right? He does that, right? You see that movement? Yeah. Okay. It's an ebb and flow to the point where, like, if you're not in that place, if you are moving, you could get caught right here, right? If you are stagnant, you get caught right here. But if you're moving, that doesn't have an opportunity to catch you. And that's what that talks about. Yes.
Like nature. Farah just
Exactly.
read my mind.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Like
And
nature.
that's what these orishas are. You
Mm-hmm.
know, that's what these and that's what I really I'm gonna strive to get across, is that this system that we're studying, that we're talking about today, 2023, it's, it's basically the outcome of the ancestors sitting down and observing nature day in and day out for thousands of years.
Yes, yes. And we're going to keep coming back to nature. We're going to keep coming because the two aspects of truly prolific in nature. And then you have Oshun, right? The energy of sweet waters. The energy, water is constantly flowing no matter what. That's probably the one element that can wear down something over
Mm-hmm.
time. You don't even know what happens. Just keep in that movement, right? um, Even if it sits stagnant, it's still moving, it's working downwards. Yes. So we as human beings, we have to learn how to do that too. And we have to also, the reason why I'm harping on this is because we have gotten so out of quote unquote alignment with other human beings that we've become dogmatic, right? It's almost, at least with secular religions, you have your tenets, you have your rules, you have your order, and all of that. Okay. And some people, sure, they're going to try and bend those. But then now you have what I call insta spiritualists. You do,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
right? And they're going to say, what you're saying is wrong, and what I'm saying is wrong, and you should do it this way, and it's not done that way. And that's when everything's just out of alignment, everything's all discombobulated. We're not dealing with this ebb and flow. I can learn from you, you can learn from me. It doesn't matter how old I am, as long as I'm here on this planet, I can always learn from someone. We talked about the abiku, right? The children who come back. Sometimes they come back with something to teach us as well. That
Mm-hmm.
that child has something to offer to us, and we don't want to pay attention to because we're so harped upon the chronological aspect of things. But there is a thing as with age comes wisdom, right? Now we know as spiritual people, we know how to test things. We like to test things. If that 5-year-old comes to me with something that they should not know about me in my history, I'm going to pay attention to that child. Like, this child is not speaking gibberish to me. There is no way that you could know that about me if you didn't have an a view of my life,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so it's not the child that is speaking, it's the energy that that child has come to this life with that is speaking. So as I said, now you have what I call the insta priests, insta conjurers, insta, I call them insta because 1 minute you don't hear about them, and then all of a sudden, and they're saying, Spirit told me to tell you. I feel, and it's like, I have to listen. I listen between the words. What are you really saying? Are you speaking to the masses so that we get into that cultish mindset, right? Because that's where we are. Even within, even within the Orisha, even within Vodon, even with Santeria, whatever, even with whatever pantheon we're becoming, we are becoming cultish. That's
Mm-hmm.
something I want to be mindful of. We are becoming cultish. We are following
People.
people who have no standing. They read a few books. They say the right things to get the right following. Charisma,
Yeah, it's dogma. It's
right?
we're following. I was talking to one of my mentors. Jumped on Clubhouse with me the other day, and I looked, and I was prompted to look at the definition of philosophy, and I think this is really. I mean, this really just did it for me. I'm gonna bring it up, guys. Just give me 1 minute. If you look at the definition of philosophy, we're not talking about religion now, because that's what all of us are supposed to be in.
Right.
It really, you then understand why we, the ancestors, definitely came up with, that spirituality is supposed to be the opposite of this religiosity that you see, the dogmatic, religiosity you see in the Abrahamic religion, where they follow whatever the person leading them says. That's what they're gonna, they have to interpret their books through this person, and it's what they say that's
Right.
law, and they're
Right.
not even interacting directly with the creator. It's this person. But let me bring up the definition of philosophy, because I don't want to um I don't want to generalize, because it was very, very profound for me, because I said, okay, philosophy definition. I'm trying to do two things at once.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it says, for philosophy, the study of the fundamental nature of knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
The study of the fundamental nature of knowledge, reality, and existence, especially when considered as an academic discipline. So it's actually the study of the it means study. You have to do the work yourself, and ebb and flow, like what Ange just said. You really literally have to observe, like these ancestors did, to come up with this philosophical, path that we call the orishas, that we call, Ifa. You really, and it really is. So if you sit with yourself and you study the fundamental nature of knowledge, of whatever knowledge you're into, you're supposed to be into, you don't have a choice but your mind. You're gonna expand your mind. That's not dogma. That's not just following a person. That's not just following a person with a million, followers, and you're just following you. You're just being sheep. You're actually sitting there studying the fundamental nature of knowledge, reality, and existence,
Mm-hmm.
especially when considered as an academic practice. That's what Ifa is. It's an academic practice. These people back home, the ones that are actual Ifa, the devotees, they don't go to a Western school. They don't speak English, but they have been in academic practice since they were 7 years old. So when you get to that point, I feel, in your life, you don't have a choice but your mind to be expanded. That's the difference. I think that's what we're supposed to be doing. That's what spiritualists are supposed to be doing. But just like you said, it's turning into a dogma.
Right. That's what has me concerned, and I'm not worried. because things will realign themselves. That must be the word, alignment. But it is disconcerting because uh, so many will be lost. So many will be driven away, pushed away. So many would be shut down. Even within Ifa, there are many who pull away, right? Many come to Ifa or Vodong, Lukumi, Santeria. They come because they feel like they want to connect to. They say this: I want to connect to my ancestors. I want to connect to my roots. Okay, and the Orisha are popular because they're more accessible in the West. That's the only reason why. There are over 54, 55 countries in Africa. And I can assure you that not all of those countries have people who are Orisha devotees. They each have their own pantheon.
Mm-hmm.
And as many people occupy the West, there are those of us like who your ancestry goes back to those original forms of spirituality, right? We don't talk about the Dogon. You don't hear about the Dogon. You don't hear about people in Chad. You don't hear about the Maasai. Those pantheons. How do you know you're not a descendant of those pantheons? And that's probably been my biggest question. How the Orisha, of course, they don't mind, but how is everyone how do you feel? How is it that I always ask, how do you feel called to the Orisha? Like, are you called to the Orisha because that's your blood connection, that's your ancestral connection? Or are you called to the Orisha because it's popular and you want something that's different, right? When people come to me and they say, you know, I'm not religious, I'm spiritual. And I said, let me tell you something. Ifa is just as religious. We have our own tenets, rules. We got dogma because why? You're dealing with other human beings.
Mm-hmm.
Do not think because it looks different that it is different.
Mm-hmm.
Your mindset is what can make your experience different. Because the same, if you have what makes the difference that you have in church? What do you think is going to be any different when you come into Ifa? What makes you think that? Because the work is not you're not going to have someone you can have people, but this is where power comes in. You can have people come in and say you shouldn't do, we know this already, right? Taboos, right? um this is where ebos come in and such like that, but then you don't even know how much of that is ego driven, right? And that's why it is important to like pull back and start to learn. Pay attention to the symbols in nature. Pay attention to your dreams. Um, Let me see. Vital Empress, we gravitate to dogma almost as a feeling of safety. You're right. The ebb and flow is constantly moving, shifting, not stagnant. And I think it's that movement, right? We will get seasick
Mm-hmm.
from if we're not grounded, if we're not stable, right? Because we try to fight against that ebb and flow. We feel that moving towards secular religion or anything that we feel is rooted or grounded will stabilize us, right? But you know, one of the things I had said in the last time we met is that I'm rooted in my faith, that I can go anywhere and not be thrown off course, not be uprooted. I can go with the ebb and flow. I can go and visit a mosque and experience God in the mosque, right? I can go with my Muslim friends and be one of them, right? Because they embrace me as one of them. I can go to synagogue. I mean, I do go to synagogue. You know what I mean? I can go with my Hindu friends and be embraced and partake and enjoy and not have the dogma of anything stop me from enjoying the encounter with another human being. And I think that's where we tend to get twisted up, is that we believe that this has this thing and this has this thing, and The two shouldn't meet or the three shouldn't meet, or we want to dabble and create something because, I'm free and you're not really free. You're not free. Okay, that's another misconception. Um, we do. This is a school of learning. So to circle all the way back around, stepping onto this path does ask you, do you understand your connection to nature? Do you understand your connection to other human beings? Do you understand your reason and your existence for being here? And do you understand that you have to learn that this is a journey that's never ending? You never stop learning.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and you can tell within this little community that we occupy how many tarot decks come out. How many? Monthly. It used to be yearly, monthly, every month, every week, new decks are coming out. Why? Because there's a machine to be fed, which is us. We're looking for that one deck, that one thing that will give us the answers.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason why I go back to, I'm back to this, I'm back to this, because I feel like for many of us, if you sit with this deck, I mean, the guidebook, I like a big, thick guidebook. But if you sit with this is like plugging in to nature. What's not you, Farah? We are nature. You're right. Here's a, because when you look at each card, right? You look at each card. If you don't feel a presence, if you don't feel like a spark, like a tingly, like this is why my cards are never in order, right? Nature's not orderly either, so that my cards aren't in order. It's when I work with this deck. If you guys watch Star Trek, I want to say next gen, the Borg being plugged into the Borg. Um, I know people talk about being plugged into the Matrix, but this is almost like being plugged into the Matrix in a different way. This is like plugging into nature. This is, for me, this is grounding. This is like me putting my hands on the earth.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Um, and then starting to see like a lot of the symbology and the imagery come alive. And
Mm-hmm.
that's why I'm telling you that they experienced that. Like I called this card up in my mind, like, oh my gosh, I had just read with the deck the night before.
Yeah, and that's really deep, because if you go back to that card and you go back to what you do and you go back to the situation you were in, and like I said, the story, I couldn't go in detail as that particular story. And like I said, one thing that set Oshimare apart in heaven, in the astral realm, with all the other diviners, is that she and he were the ones who told the truth to Olokun. Havana knows this story, because when they were called to divine for Olokun, the other diviners wanted to impress the deity, this great Orisha, because Olokun is very rich and he's very, very intimidating. It's kind of like, okay, it's kind of like you get called right now for 12 tower readers, get called to the White House. You have to divine for, let's say, Trump, very intimidating, character. And the rest of them, they're so in awe of whoever his status, they're telling him what he wants to hear.
Uh-huh.
And but Oshimara was the only one who said, you need to pay attention to your health. The rest of them were saying, money, you need to do divination, you need to go after money, you need to go after wives, you need to go after your children. Oshimara was like, my message is simple. You need to pay attention to your health, specifically your eyes. And everybody was laughing at her. Like, who's this person? And she don't, ha 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 ha. 12,
Right.
like the masters. And this happens to us, happens to me all the time, where you're literally in the group and you want to be part of the group, but because of who you are, you know who you are. So the core of who she is she's grounded in her craft, and the core of her craft is honesty. Because if Ifa tells us, when we stand and speak the truth, when we stand on the truth and we speak the truth, doesn't matter what situation you're in, you're always going to be supported by the deities. And that's what Oshumare exemplified that day. She told, and she was laughed at out of the court, and they was like, ha ha ha. Even Olokun was like, you don't sound like the rest.
Mm-hmm.
That's 12 the tower readers. Trump is telling you, okay, who are you, Queen? Or say you don't sound like the 11. Why is this they saying and you're saying this? You don't know what you're talking about. You're sent away. Your peers are, making fun of you. They're like, ha ha ha. She don't know. Then 7 days later, it comes out Trump is sick. He's got all this money. He's sick, and nobody can figure out. And from his sick bed, Olokun then tells his people, "Go find that diviner for me. Go find her, because she was the only person who told me the truth." That's why Oshumari stands out, and that's one of the reasons why the rainbow always shines. And that's one of the messages, in that's her in her manifestation. But she has multiple
Yes.
meanings. But
Yes.
it's very powerful. Yoshimari is very, very powerful, very old.
So I keep going back to that because, like I said, the week, um, the past, this is what the only the seventh day of the new year, and already we're off to a running start. So, but I'm handling it differently than it's. It's a different sort of vibe. It's a different sort of energy. When they talk about letting go, releasing, and relaxing, first
Mm-hmm.
of all, I have to embrace the fact that, I'm human, and as much as I want to be, holier than thou, and I'm spiritual and all of that, when shit hits the fan, I'm like, what the hell? How? I need to get this taken care of, right? Um, but what I feel is a great sense of peace. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I feel, I'm looking back, I'm looking over things where similar situations happened before, and I was always just moving forward, keep going, moving forward, moving forward. And I'm like, I am at peace. And what really stands out for me for this, you know, she's fully pregnant. It's going to take time to give birth to something else, right? It's been gestating. And that's what I feel like the message was for me. Like, everything, it's almost time for you to give birth. Now is not the time for you to panic and rush around. Now is the time for you to actually sit
And pull in the energy.
and pull your energy back, because what you
Mm-hmm.
are about to give birth to is going to be magnificent. I'm just saying,
Yes, Ashe.
I'm just claiming that. Like, I looked at that and I'm like, I'm telling you, when I saw that double rainbow, and yes, the chariot is my tarot birth card as well, even though I'm a Leo. The chariot is my, so yes. So I'm telling you, this year for me, if nothing else, 2023, the chariot is my tarot birth card. It's a 7 year, which is my soul path number, all my life path number, all of that. Yeah. And my card for the year is the devil.
Hmm.
Okay. And I have a deep love for the devil, because the devil reminds me about being passionate about this thing that we call life and fully embracing it. The devil is here to tell you, you're supposed to be enjoying this, right? How you could be spiritual and not enjoying this, not embracing this, and what are you doing? You got to get caught up in the woo woo that you're forgetting about enjoying the sunshine and a glass of wine and your friends. You know what I mean? That passion. Why are you smiling, Aminat?
No, I'm just laughing at because I'm imagining that devil. I'm just
Just
imagining the down because my tarot teacher used to say sex, drugs, and rock and roll.
hell yes. You know what I mean? Listen, the devil, because I'm telling you, a lot of times the devil gets blamed for things, and the devil's like, that ain't got nothing to do with me. That was not me.
I know, right?
That's not me, right? I think the devil gets a bad rap. Again, that goes back to secular religion, right? Because they want to see the devil as being something negative and bad, but it isn't. It's a force of nature that needs to be, we need to embrace that as well. That's another thing as well. Yes, far lived, right? Nature, we love nature when the sun is shining and there's a gentle rain, and the birds are chirping. Okay. Do we feel the same way when that hurricane comes through or that tornado rips up or we get 8 feet of snow,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
right? Or you hear that snow is coming, we got to, people run out and get bread, milk, and toilet paper and all of. Do we love nature then? It's the same energy. It's just how it's manifested, right? It's the same way. You have to take it. There's that ebb and flow again,
Mm-hmm.
right? There's there's the lovers and the devil. You have that choice how you want to experience this, because you can get the lovers card and that could turn out crappy too. You might wish to have that devil experience. You give all of yourself in that lovers. You feel like you're making that choice for your highest good, right? Sometimes I think that lovers card can be talking about self-sacrifice. You want to be the martyr, blah blah blah. And sometimes the devil is like, baby, you need to be selfish for a
Mm-hmm.
minute and be okay with being selfish. You know? Yeah. So speaking of, tell me about this guy.
That's a issue.
Yeah, I know.
That's issue. I want to say hi to Gina real quick because I haven't seen her. Gina,
Yeah.
hi Gina.
He-
that's that's Julie's best friend. So she's known me for like a long time. So she popped in.
Gina Best.
Oh no, sorry, no. That's not. Oh no, that's another lady. Sorry. That's somebody else. No, that's a lady that actually bought my. Yeah. Oh, that's why her name looks so familiar. She bought my
Ah,
Oracle deck. I thought
oh,
it was the
good.
other Gina. Julie Kosia Watts has another lady called
Named Gina.
Gina. That's her best friend.
Oh,
That's who I thought that was.
because
That's who I thought that was.
Gina's one of my tarotistas.
Okay. Yeah, the name I had the name mixed up with the other Gina, who's actually an artist that I had approached. But anyways, no, it's fine. It's fine. Yeah, so the card 6
Mm-hmm.
is issue Odara. So he is the intermediary, and there are a lot of people in the West also know him as Elegua. They also don't know him as Elegua. He's an intermediary. He has the same properties and description. You could compare him to Mercury,
Mm-hmm.
because he acts as the messenger from from the Orishas. If the Orishas have a message to deliver to the Creator, which is Olodumare, issue is going to be that intermediary that's going to go. If human beings have a message to deliver to the Orisha, is issue that is going to go. So issue is basically, it is said that he makes 300 trips in 1 minute between the astral realm and the physical realm. That's how fast it is. So that's where that Mercurian description comes from. He's very, very fast. He's the deity of communication as well. And he's also the Lord of karma, because he's the one that sits within all of us, amongst all of us, and listens to what we're saying, listens to the promises that we're making to each other. And, people like to reduct him, use the reductive term and call him a trickster. He's not. All he
Right.
does is puts the mirror in front of human beings and
Mm-hmm.
show them the choices, because we like to pretend, we like to wear social masks, we like to say things we don't mean, we like to make promises we can't keep to each other and even to God. And issue is going to be the one that's going to come back 10 years and be like, do you remember when you said so and so and so? And this is the result. And when the colonialists came into West Africa, and they looked at this deity, they couldn't understand this
Mhm.
type of deity. That how dare you expose the how dare you expose the dark side of human beings? You must be a trickster. You must be the devil. You must be the adversary. He is not, because West Africans don't have any concept of the devil per se. And hell, what issue does is he just is. He's just
Yeah.
is. It's not your friend and it's not your foe. He's
Yes.
his I always say that his alignment, or his what's that thing when you're loyal. He's only loyal to what is right, and he's only loyal to nature. He works on behalf of the nature. So if you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, he doesn't have any business with you. But if you're doing what you're not supposed to be doing and you're thinking nobody sees you, issue is going to be the one that's going to push you into a situation where you're going to expose yourself.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
yeah.
Hello, Gerald. Welcome. Thank you for
Hi,
joining us.
Gerald.
Um, Elegba, Eshu. Okay, so in uh, Lukumi, so Ifa, several different names, I guess, for the maybe the type of energies. I guess it depends on how, because from what I understand, like in Nigeria, each county, for lack of a better term, I live in Maryland, so we have counties, and each county has their own orisha,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so when you come to the diaspora, this is why we have elekes that have the primary ones, yeah. Um, Different paths, they like to say, yeah, and you'll hear this in Lukumi and Candomblé Santeria, that they've given um, uh, has different energies depending on his path, right? Um, well, in a way, Gerald, yes and no. So
Yeah.
my experience, in a way, yes and no. Okay, in a way, right?
Yeah, in a way. And I want to go into that,
Yes.
because
Okay, in
that's
a
a
way,
very, that is
yeah,
a misnomer.
right. And I was going to say that as well.
And I'm
Um,
going to go into that. It's a very controversial topic that I've done extensive research on, and I'm going to tell you why. And I'm going to back what
yes.
I'm going to say with evidence, but you go ahead first.
Yeah. So in a way, Gerald brought up what I was going to touch on this. For me, Elegua is non-discriminatory. Like Elegua doesn't understand right and not right. Okay. Elegua understands what is in alignment and what's not in alignment.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And I feel that's the same way with all the Orisha across the board. No, no disrespect with
No, there's
none.
no disrespect. It's
No,
a very
none.
popular. No,
It's
there's no disrespect
yeah,
at all.
this is why we're having this
So
conversation.
we're
None
having this conversation.
yeah, right?
No
I
disrespect at
mean,
all.
we're not going this is how we learn about things, you know?
Yeah, and I'm gonna explain why. And there's no dogma here, Gerald. Trust me, there's absolutely no
Yeah.
disrespect. We're not that way. We don't,
No. Uh-uh.
we are philosophers. We're not dogmatic religiosity people
No.
who wear their, this is a philosophical discussion. And
Discussion,
if
yeah.
philosophy is the study of the body of knowledge and its nature, this is a good topic to actually flesh out. And then
Right.
I'm going to tell you why I think the way that I think, and the evidence that I brought from, and I know that's a very, very, like 95% of anyone who knows about Elegua thinks that he's the Lord of door. He opens doorways, but not necessarily. He
Right.
does, and he does not. It's like, but the way I'm going to explain it, you'll see. But go ahead, Queen.
So that's what I was going to say, that some things that term, make it make sense, and we as human beings, we always want things to make sense. So that's why it has been narrow. What is that word? Redundant, made redacted or redundant.
Reductive, yeah, reductive. Like he's a
Down to he
trickster,
opens, exactly, trickster,
opens
the good
doors.
stuff, the bad stuff, all of that. But it's more layered than that.
He's
It's
Mercury.
Right,
you know.
exactly. And that energy is moving so fast, right? So think of Elegua. So and most of us, many of you have seen Elegua. Hollywood tries to demonize Elegua, but in the diaspora, the head, right? And the
Hmm.
head is usually egg shaped. So think of the egg that you have, right? And there used to be this commercial about a dozen ways that you could have that egg, right? It's still an egg, but you can have it scrambled, hard boiled, poached, all of so many ways, and it's still an egg. And so that's similar to how I see elegua. It still comes down to that energy. It's not, no matter how I have the egg, if I have it in a an omelet one day and I have it poached the next day, and then the other day I have it hard boiled, I'm still having that egg.
Hmm. Hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yep.
So I just wanted to give you there. So if we can think of the energies of the Orisha, particularly Elegua, like that as an egg, you'll have a
Yeah.
better understanding that, yeah, it not necessarily opens doors and not necessarily closes doors, right? Doing the
He is
right,
the
that whole
Lord. He is the where that comes from. There is a reason why. There's a method to the madness. There's a reason why 99.9% of the people who know about Elegua know about issue. Just and in Hollywood as well. Like there's a show I heard about called Lord of the Underworlds or something, and somebody told me that Elegua is featured and he's supposed to be the Lord of the Underworld. I'm like, we don't have the underworld in West Africa,
right,
but
right.
whatever. So Gerald, what I would say is, so this is Elegua. This is
Hmm.
a issue. And like Queen Osset just said, an egg, scrambled, boiled, poached. It's just poached egg. So you see his name is Ishwadar. So he can have over 300 names. He has over 300 manifestation. There's even a female version of him, right? So the reason why my teachers broke it down for me that he doesn't necessarily. He doesn't hold the key to open the door for you, but he's the Lord of obstacles. When you were born, Ori,
Hmm.
when you were born, you see that dove at the top. That's Ori. That's the manifestation of the Godhead. You came directly from the Godhead. Your inheritance when you manifested, when you were this spirit, this was you, and then you became split into the masculine and feminine polarity, and it's been joined inside of you. So when you were talking to the Godhead before you came here, your inheritance when you manifest in the physical realm is for all doors to be opened. Your doors are always open because you came directly from the Godhead.
Hmm.
Issues actually here. He's under, or Ori is supreme. So if you think about that, Gerald, if we say Ori is supreme, there's no way that issue can then hold the key to open your doors. What issue is, he's the messenger of nature. So he is the Lord of obstacles. He can stand in your path. So you see how there's a difference between if I lock my door, that then versus if somebody literally came and stood in the doorway, right? One is an obstacle. The other one is the door is actually locked and I don't have the key. You always have the key. But issue's going to be the one that's going to come to test you, to say, you know what, today I think I'm going to stand in your path, and then you're going to have to make a decision, and I'm
Hmm.
going to test you, and I'm going to test your integrity, and I'm going to test you to see, because you made some promises when you were up there in that pure spirit. You said you were going to come down here. You said you were going to do this. You said you were going to do that. You said you were going to be honest. You said everything you said you were going to do, you're not doing. So now this door is open. The door is open because you are the Godhead. So, but I'm going to stand in your way. He's not. He doesn't have the key to your door.
You have the key.
You always have the key, but he can block you. And then it's kind of like, what is that story? the gate, keeper, where you have to, and in the Wizard of Oz, when she had to say certain words to get
Right.
to the next path.
Yes.
It's the same thing. It's the same thing. So that's where the nuance is. So a lot of people, there's a differentiation there between having the key to open your door or having the ability to block your way. I mean, Jared, what do you think? Don't you think that's the difference? You know?
Farah, obstacles, aren't necessarily bad. Obstacles put you in a place to pause. You have to think about that. That's the only reason why you encounter obstacles. Because you're tootling along and you're doing your thing and you're thinking everything is going fine. And then you hit this obstacle. There is a reason. Obstacle, they cause you to stand still. They cause you to pause. They cause you to just to think, even if it's for a split second,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Can everybody hear us? Because Vital Empress is saying sound is gone. I can hear.
I can too. Vital's been having some issues with the sound. No, the sound is fine.
Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
okay. So these obstacles we cannot look at, we should not, right? So again, if we string everything back to nature, we have to think about nature as being non-discriminatory, right? When there's a hurricane, it's you can't take it personal,
Mm-hmm.
right? You lose your house in a hurricane, you can't take it personal, right? When you get sunburned, you can't take it personal.
Exactly.
So these are the things that we have to learn as well. That's why I said we have to reconnect back to that source of what we come from and like tap into that energy that is there, and that will bring us back into quote unquote this alignment that we've been striving for as a race, as a human race, you know. Uh let me get out of this here. So Laura says one of the guidebook keywords is dynamic power. A locked door doesn't feel so dynamic, but very fixed. You're right. But navigating obstacles is dynamic. Absolutely. Because then you can change. What do you think Ashe is? Ashe is energy. Ashe,
Dynamic power. Yeah, that's what.
exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You get to shift that. And that goes back to what I said about those obstacles. It could slow you down and cause you to redirect, reroute. What do you do? If I'm driving along and I see a sign that says, "Oh, traffic has come down to one lane." Everything slows down. Do you just stop and like, "Oh my gosh, what am I going to do?" No. You redirect. Now you have to slow down. Now you
Mm-hmm.
have to work and change that energy to move, to merge, right? Because your ultimate goal is to get to your destination. Well, it's the same thing with this. So Elegua does not necessarily open doors or close doors. He is that one that you decide whether you want to move to the next level. You
Mm-hmm.
decide if
Yeah.
if I want to go through past that threshold, right?
Yeah. And then something just came to my mind as Gerald just typed something. When he's at the, because you can't really see the three road intersection.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, because the thing is covering it. So imagine you coming up to a three road intersection. People call it the crossroad or whatnot. And then you don't know where to go. You're like, okay, where am I supposed to go now? Am I going right? Am I going left? Am I going straight? And this man or woman is standing in front of you, and he's asking you too, where do you want to go? It's kind of like, you remember the Matrix, the blue pill or the red pill. He's
Mm-hmm.
not standing, he's not blocking all your way. He's just there for you to make, he's forcing you to make that choice, right? And then also, Gerald, one thing I did with studying him was that I went through a lot of all the poetry, because the knowledge of the orishas is transmitted with the elders, the way the records were kept through these poetry. And that's how we transmit the knowledge from generation to generation. And I went through a lot, like I spoke to a lot of this priest, he's actually a real priest of issue in Nigeria, and I couldn't find one poem in describing Elegua that says that he has the key to open doors. There was not one. Well, what it says was that don't stand in our way. The
Mm-hmm.
prayer for Elegua will be, please don't stand in our way, Lord of obstacles,
Mm-hmm.
don't stand in our way. So I just wanted to say that's where I'm basing my hypothesis on that. That's what I'm basing my presentation on, that, the door is always open for all of us. Just when we come down in that pure spirit, when we're in that spirit world, and when we come down in this manifestation and we downgrade, we forget a lot of the stuff that we've said, we promised the Godhead. Like you may come down here, Gerald, and say that I'm gonna open a orphanage when I come down. By the time I'm 45, I'm gonna have an orphanage and I'm gonna help the disadvantaged kids. That's the promise you made. So you come down here, let's say you won the lottery or whatever. And even before that, you don't remember. And that's where the oracle of Ifa and these ancient, the divination system come in to
Yeah.
remind you of what you promised. So, but
Right.
it's issue that's going to then start getting in your way, saying, do you remember? You just start seeing all these obstacles. Why am I getting all these obstacles? Why is this things that were going fine before it's not opening? Because he's here to remind you.
Mind you. Yeah. Exactly.
So
Exactly.
that's the roles that's the role he plays. It's a
And
very,
see that,
very important, Risha. Very important.
and that goes back to the reason why we do readings. Okay. Um, and I see this a lot, right? So we're doing daily readings, weekly, monthly, yearly. We're doing these readings for ourselves, which is it's great. I'm not knocking that. But your readings that you do for yourself are really supposed to nudge something loose within your mind to help you get back on track. And right, exactly, Gerald, reminding us of
Exactly.
our agreements, right? So when we
Yes.
do these readings, a lot, and so as an outsider, especially when I see people post their readings and their readings are the same, it's like you're using this deck and you're not seeing the message. I am seeing the same message being repeated to you in every single reading. And all you're doing is pulling the cards and you're getting the same message, but you're not taking it deeper. You're not looking at the message that's trying to come through to you. Is that making any sense? And that is probably why this cartomancy, this field of cartomancy is blowing up, because we're looking for the deck, that one deck that's going to give us that answer that you actually can find in any deck that you have if
Mm-hmm.
you sat with it long enough. You see how they're all intertwined? And the reason why I love the Iyami is because it's so full of symbology. Now, that's part of it too. The This is where the collective consciousness comes in, because symbols resonate across the board no matter what your culture, no matter what your path. And I think that this deck is full of so much symbology. Everybody, no matter where you come from, almost every culture knows the honeybee,
Mm-hmm.
right? And the presence of the honeybee, right? Cowrie shells is not just African. They India, Europe, cowrie shells. That's a form of
Yeah. The
currency,
dove. The
right? The
dove.
dove, the
The
same
masculine and
way.
feminine polarities, the
Yeah,
red and the blue. Yeah.
yeah, right.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, I mean, I don't have to. I'm not selling the deck. I don't get anything from this. You guys know me. I talk about what I believe in. I talk about what I feel can help mankind move forward. Right. I look at these tools. I mean, if I could I'm not going to turn my camera around. There isn't a deck out there for the most part that I don't have. right? Because that's part of the business I'm in. But I'm also looking for that as well. Like, what is it? But this deck can open up so much more, and it's not a deck that you can just work with and hopefully you journal about and not come back to. This is a deck that you're going to need to come back to and reconnect with over and over and over again, to the point where you actually see the cards come alive in your life, manifest in your life. So when
Mm-hmm.
she was talking about Eshu Odara, right? So I don't know if you can see this card. See that?
Journey. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. I like that symbology with the bridge.
Right. Okay. Now, this is a person, they're going on a journey, right? The door, they get to make the decision. You see all the signposts?
Mm-hmm.
They get to
Yes.
make the
That's
decision
it.
which way they want
Where
to
which way
go,
do you want to
right? That light that they're holding is their Ori,
go? Mm-hmm.
okay? That bag, they have a small suitcase. The small suitcase is their experiences,
Mm-hmm.
right? Now think of it. They're only going to go as far as the light will allow them to see. That's your Ori. That's trusting that, right? Then you have the signposts. Which way are you going to take? What are you going to do?
That's issue. Yep. The
Right,
choice.
exactly. The choices. Now here's the thing that I know about this, and I always say this. When you get to this place, again, the obstacles of slowing down, paying attention to the obstacles, see what's on repeat. That means that something has to be done. You have to redirect, refocus. Short of taking another person's life, if you choose what is deemed the inappropriate path for you at that time, you can come back up and choose another path. You can redirect.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of the things that I have. Okay, Sandra, thank you so much.
Thanks,
Uh,
Sandra.
that's one of the things that Ifa has taught me. You do have choices. You're not here to suffer at the whims of something that's intangible and unknown. You do have. Hi, Jordan. Thank you so much for joining us. You do have choice, but those choices come from something, like you said, that the card from your Ori, that Godhead is you tap. You have to tap into that. It's not your ego. It's you tapping into the voice of spirit, your spirit being inspired to say, I'm going to go to the left.
And if it's wrong, I know I have that experience, and I know I have my Ori with me, and I can pull my tools out of my suitcase, and it's gonna help me come back to the right path. That has
Exactly.
happened to me so many times I can't even count,
Right.
to the point because people will say, "You're going there?
Right.
You're gonna
You're
go
doing
towards that
that?
person?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm gonna find
Yeah.
out. I'm gonna find out."
Exactly.
And if it
Exactly.
doesn't work, I
Trust-
trust my Ori.
Yeah.
I'm telling you guys, I trust myself,
So,
because if
yes.
something is gonna happen, they're gonna show me anyways.
Anyway, and they'll show it to you quickly so that you don't sit in that place.
and,
And
and
that,
I'm on
right,
it.
you know.
You
Um,
know,
and so that, what is it here?
and that's why the integrity and truth was very important for me when I was in doing this, because I had to tell this is the greatest orisha. All these other orishas are fancy, yeah, they're nice, yeah, Oshun, Obatala, you know yeah, all these and that, but this is the greatest. Ori, the
Yeah.
Godhead, is the greatest of them all. It sounds really simplistic, but that's what the ancestors, and I've done the scientific search, the scientific investigation, and it's true.
Yeah.
I mean, the work, you have to do the work to
Exactly.
reconcile that red and that blue, because
Mm-hmm.
that's all you. And I
Mm-hmm.
made it into the lovers card for a reason, to draw the attention, because that's you. You have to be so
Right.
involved in yourself,
No, exactly.
investigating yourself. You have to
Hmm.
be so involved. People are going to be like, what the heck is going on with her? She's just so into herself. Yeah,
Yes, you
that's what I'm
have to
supposed to
be.
be. That's what
Yeah,
I'm
you're
supposed to
right.
be. I'm
Right.
supposed to be into myself.
You see what Dee says of divination? She made the choice in past self readings to take no action based on her findings. Sometimes she was in denial, and sometimes she simply was not ready to take action. So, Dee, let me ask you, whenever did the same sort of energies come up when you did additional readings? Like, because sometimes spirit will say, you're asking me about this, but this keeps coming up. When are you going to address this? When are you going to do this? Like, you have to do this in order to get to the next thing,
Hmm.
right? Very rarely, I know that people, those of us who do readings for other people, very rarely is one reading or a reading focus on just that thing. Like if someone is asking in particular about love, that's not separate from your finances and your health and your other interpersonal relationships. Those all will play a part in that love reading or even in your financial reading. This is my perspective. This is why I never do. I never. You will never catch me doing a reading just focusing on your finances. That will come afterwards. I
Hmm.
always like to do an energetic read. I always like to do a reading surrounding everything, everything. And 99.99% of the time, other things are revealed in those other things that address the financial question that the person might have.
Do you know that's what Oshimare? That was the conversation.
Mm.
What you just said right now, that was the conversation between Olokun and the other priest.
Oh.
Olokun was asking about the wealth. I want more wealth. I want more wives. I want more kids. I want to build this. I want to build that.
Mm.
And then
Oh.
when Oshimari cast it, he was like, yeah,
It's not,
that's
what's
not.
it what it's doing?
You need to
Yeah.
put your health. That's it. I just got chills, Joe, just now,
Wow. Wow.
and
Well, thank you for
her that didn't make her popular at all at first.
that. Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
And then
Uh-huh.
when the thing came to pass, Olokun asked for her to be brought back to his court, and that's why she's one of the most respected deities.
Yeah, it is.
That's why that sign. And I wanted to say also, like divine, the divination, right? My hypothesis is that human beings, we are in a downgraded state. We devolved. We did not evolve.
Mm-hmm.
We I feel as if when we first manifested in this physical realm, and I also feel as if nature used to speak directly to us. And it actually is not what I feel. Ifa says that nature, she used to talk, but because of the actions of humans, she became silent. That's when the divination was invented, because it used to be like the telepathy, where, like I was saying, the Egbe, that's why Egbe people are so powerful, and that pantheon is so misunderstood and so complex, because they can just, I know some Egbe people who can literally read your mind. Very rare, right? So human beings, I feel, we used to have that high cognitive power. And then we devolved and we started to use speech. And then we devolved even further. Whatever we did to nature, you can imagine, because we always messing up a good thing. She stopped talking to us, because nature this is where we live.
Mm-hmm.
Earth. When I say nature, I mean Earth
Yeah.
itself. She used to
Right.
talk to us. So that's why the divination, all these ancient forms of divinations came to be that intermediary for us to ask nature again, to be able to communicate with her, to say, are we doing the right thing? Is the monsoon season coming? Should we settle in this area? If we settle in this area, is there going to be war? Should we That's what the divination really is, accessing the divine, and the divine is nature herself.
Exactly. Yeah, you're right, Dee. They will be consistent. The messages will keep coming through until action is taken. And sometimes it's that taking that action that causes us to pause, right? And that's why I go back to I go back to this card,
Hmm.
right? This person can't stand on that rickety bridge forever. They have to make a decision. They have to move forward, right? But they also, two is about what? Choices, okay? But they also have to trust their intuition, right? And we talk about symbology. So go this way. Here is a Luna moth, right? Luna moth, Luna moths are born blind.
Hmm.
They have to trust what they
Wow.
sense and feel, their intuition. And Luna moths, they only have a short lifespan as well.
So you got to get it done. You got to
You
do what
gotta
you got.
you gotta
You
get
got to
it done.
go. Just
You
go
got you gotta go. You gotta make that choice. You're gonna have to trust yourself and go.
and just go because you don't have a lot of time. That's deep.
Exactly. Exactly. Right? And that's what I mean about using the tools that we have. So I know for me, for 2023, I am really going on a low buy, almost no buy of decks. Like I'm going back to I'm at the place like I just want to totally get rid of everything except for a few. This is one of those decks. Like I've had this deck for years, and each and every time, I mean, it's
What's it called?
the energy
So I made.
oracle cards.
Okay. Sandra Ann Taylor. Okay.
Yeah, right. This is a deck. Each time I pull it out, and I'm using this in alignment with the Iyami Oracle. Right, take me to that place that I really, really can um, reconnect and go deep, right? You're right, and you see what she's
Yes, and you're so right. You just gave me chills with that because that
yeah,
lyrical card is deeply personal
right.
for me.
Yeah. Just do the work. And at the end of when
Deeply.
most of us, just think about it. Most of us, when you've done the work, you're like, really? Damn, that's all it was? Like that's what I was concerned about doing. That was what I was afraid of doing, right?
That's so deep what she just said. She said it at 11:111.
When eight, yeah, eight
That's my
11,
birthday.
yeah, right,
That's
11:8, yeah, right. You know, um, you just you have to. When we talk about doing the work, we think of work as being laborious. We think of work as being draining. We think of work like, oh, what I'm going to get out of this. We think of work of, you know, well, I'm going to do the work. Am I going to get a paycheck? Like, what's in it for me if I do the work? Us having this conversation right now, this is part of the work,
100%.
right? You guys interacting with each other, because I watch you guys on YouTube. A couple of years ago, I started Real Talk, Real Conversations. And then, I pause and I see where other people are starting to do that, engaging with each other on YouTube. That's part of the work. It doesn't matter how many people you have in the audience, you are engaging. Aminat's in the UK. I'm over here in the US. The two of us are engaging. And then you guys are watching this happening. Like, talk about a spider web effect. That is doing the work.
And I just want to bring everybody's attention. This is a shoes domain because he's Mercury. So this is when I say you see the layers. I hope that Gerald is still here when they just reduct them to the trickster. This is what he does when he's at his best, brings people
People,
together because he's the
yeah.
messenger. He's the one that rules electronic, the
Hmm.
reach. Yes,
Exactly.
yes, because as long as we are in alignment, Queen Osset is doing her thing. Amina is doing. He's watching. They've said what they wanted to say. The agreement.
Hmm.
Everything is okay. Everybody is doing. When people are doing funny things, that's when he comes in the middle and everything just go haywire, and then
Right.
they blame him. But we were the one doing funny stuff,
Right.
not being, betraying each other's trust, not being true. So this is what you just said. Who's responsible? The deity that's responsible is a issue.
Yes. So, Gerald, you see this? You could. This is This is seeing Eshu in action. This is what
Mm-hmm.
I mean about these energies, these deities. You're seeing it, and this is Eshu. This is your experience. So you can put this in your notes, right? Eshu is the one that brings it all together, and everything is going right, right?
Mm-hmm.
We have seen Eshu, bringing in what people will say like a chaotic sort of energy. Remember, he's moving very, very fast. Okay, you know. Thank you, Farah. I'm glad you're enjoying it. Um, this is it manifesting, and that's why I said one day we will evolve to the point where we won't need we won't need these, because we'll be able to bring that up. We'll remember who we are and come bring that forward. You know, um,
Ashe.
we'll be able to. This is what I'm talking about. That ebb and flow, right? That give and take. This is about being it. This is true alignment right here. This is being open and welcoming to everybody. Speak, say what you have to say. This is a platform that all of us can engage in, and we should partake. How are we going to learn from each other? Back in the day, the people who travel from country to country, the tradespeople, they're the ones who are actually the smart ones. They were the ones who were educated. Why? Because they traveled and they got to connect with other cultures, right? That's why when I travel, I want to be on what I call the economy. Like, I don't want to be the tourist. I want to go where the people are and pick up a few words of the language and eat the foods like that. I don't need to be in a restaurant. As long as I'm not dealing with a lot of vermin and bugs, I'm good, you know. But that's where the true knowledge comes from. So something like this is, back in the old days, people gathered to exchange information and their experiences. And then those were annotated or put down in a book, or someone recorded it somewhere.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So look at this. This is a living, breathing moment of Eshu
Yeah.
manifested right here, right now, this moment.
Yeah. And insights like this is what I use to design, the deck. Sometimes when I get what Oprah calls that aha moment, and then somehow I'll just put it into, the if I see that, if that moment was that powerful. Let me go back to what Ange said. This card, I'll just tell you the quick story if I can.
Sure.
So when I was in the middle of designing the deck, and it was like last no, this is 2023, 2021, so summertime. So I was researching. At first I wasn't going to put Egbert in here, full disclosure, because it's a very complex pantheon. It's a separate pantheon, highly complex. If you're
Mhm.
confused, you are meant to be confused, because it's really complex. They're not Orisha. So because I'm researching and I'm meeting different priests and priestesses, and how I get these messages, how I design these images is interaction. So let's say one day I go to Queen Osset and she does my divination for me, and something profound comes out, and I'll just get this image in my head and I would design the card around that. So I was stumped last so summer, and there's this woman in our community that is a huge bully. This woman has been trying to get me under her wing. I mean, trying to force me to come into her circle for some reason for years, and I don't understand why. She's big bully. She's just a bully. Let's just put it that way.
Mm.
I wanted to contact. I had a good contact that I thought was somebody in Nigeria, and I was gonna do research, because all of these cards I've done. I did extensive research on. So there was a priest that I found, and she knew, and she was the go between. So because I wouldn't she couldn't control me. I couldn't bow down to her. I wouldn't, do basically what she was saying. She cut that connection, and I couldn't connect to this priest. And I was really bummed out, because this is information that I needed, blah, blah, blah. Long story short, she tried to like kind of intimidate me, try to go behind my back, try to basically cut the communication cord of all the priests that she knew that I knew. She never knew that I was doing this. Because she did that, I felt really, at first I was feeling a little bit intimidated, like what am I going to do now? And I was very angry, very very angry. That's why the message and what I wanted to do was just retreat. I just wanted to retreat because this woman has been bullying me since 2009. She's in the Orisha community. She's well known in the Nigerian, in the traditional side. I just wanted to retreat because I was tired of this. I'm like, I'm not going to do this. I'm in the middle of it. I mentioned to my artist what was going on. I was really upset. And he was like, this woman, why is she always messing with you? Why is she always... And then come to find, long story short, my artist, I didn't even know he had connections in my father's hometown. I didn't even know that this guy was that connected. I've been trying to get to my father's hometown for a long time, and I couldn't find a liaison. And he just happened to have a liaison in the king's palace, the secretary of the current king in my father's hometown. And she's a big deal. And he had the direct link to her. He gave me the number. He said, go state your case to her. When I spoke to the lady, she knew who the bully was. She was like, I keep hearing about this woman. What is her problem? And you're a nice lady. And she just decided to help me. And that was what opened the path to information on this deity. And it changed my life. And I met the godmother of my Egbe group, and they helped me. They not only helped me, they introduced me to my father's lineage. So I ended up finding the information that I had been looking for years, and it was my enemy. So
That was
that's why the
good.
message in there, and that's why my enemy was the one who led me to the right path.
Yeah.
So that's why the message said, don't retreat,
Mm-hmm.
keep moving.
Mm-hmm. You see, and that's what I mean. So your enemy is the one that led you, right? And sometimes we we want to overlook that side of things, right? Because it makes us uncomfortable. It's distressing. Again,
Hmm.
it goes back to elegua, right? Issue, the obstacles. What are you going to do? Like, are you going to retreat? Are you going to pull back because you're feeling a little uncomfortable right now? Oh, wow, right? You have a purpose, right? And I'm going to tell you, when you keep bucking up on that same obstacle, you need to sit with that for a little bit.
Hmm.
So, but you also have to make it make sense. I live in the Washington, D.C. area, and I would love to have a house in California. And there is no way I'm ever going to have a house in California. No way I'm ever going to live in a house in California if I don't move to California, right? I mean, I could probably buy a house in California because, but if I want to live in a house in California, you know what I mean? Like, you have to
Hmm.
be very clear
Hmm.
about that. And then be upset, like, why am I not living in California? Why am I not living in a house in California? You have to be very, very clear about that obstacle that you may perceive as being negative or inappropriate or problematic for you. Is it really? Is it? Right? And some things you just know, okay, that's not for me. Right? We want to massage relationships into place. This is romantic relationships. We tend to overstay our time at jobs.
Hmm. Yep.
That's soul sucking. Okay, guilty, right? Because it's scary, right? It's scary out there. Um, but we really do have to get back to that place of sitting with the earth, sitting with spirit. And I'm going to end this broadcast in a minute because we're ending it with the last card that we pulled. which was Egg Bay. Right? See, I knew there was a reason why they were causing so much problems when we started. You see that? You see, this is what I mean. You see how that works?
And
Right?
the mistake, and let me blow your mind, like we're saying
Uh-huh.
in Nigeria, the mistake is the number seven.
Oh, see?
Number
Yeah.
seven is the number of the mistake. Mic drop.
Yeah. Right?
Thank you,
Oh,
the
the
Angel School.
angel.
Thank
Yes,
you.
I think that you will enjoy this deck. Right? So the last time we met, uh, I had asked you guys to do a reading, just asking what, using your deck, if you had it, what energy you could tap into that you should leave behind in 2022, but what energy you should tap into to bring you into 2023. Right? What you, all of that, right? So I'm hoping that you worked with that there. Now, moving forward, I guess we'll come back next month because right now we're going to be monthly, right? I'm
Hmm.
enjoying these discussions. And again, we've only talked about two cards. You know what I'm saying? Like, okay. Um,
I just want to ask Gerald a
sure.
question. Gerald, did I send you the PDF, the extra PDF? I feel like I didn't send it to you. I think everybody else has it.
Yes, Kim. The
Because the
divine.
extra PDF has the keywords. It goes with the guidebook.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I didn't send it to him. Anyways, I find
Okay.
his email and resend it. I feel like I didn't send it to Gerald, the PDF, and everybody else has it.
Yeah.
You let me know. Anyways,
Yeah. So you're right, Ange. You see that? The Orisun card?
okay,
What you think
I'll
is a
send it to him.
disadvantage is an advantage. You see that? All right. And do you see the prefix of that word? Ori,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Source.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Yes, Gerald.
Yes,
Yeah.
I think I have your email, Gerald. I'll go on the orders and I'll send it to you after this. I had a feeling when I looked at you, I was like, I don't think you have the PDF. Okay, cool. I'll get on it.
You know, um that this is why we have to be, so the enemy is what causes you to grow. How you define
Hmm.
the enemy is what causes you to grow. And
Ashe.
believe me, I am like,
Hmm. You guys don't know how much, man. You guys don't know how much trauma this woman caused me. You don't even understand.
whoo, sa, this is what,
And
you do
I'm not,
that.
I'm a Scorpio. I don't I don't care. I'm Pluto. I don't move. I don't get.
Yeah,
But this woman,
but right.
she did her best. I'm talking about
Yeah.
spread rumors about me, cut off like liaison. I'll be talking to someone in the next week. They've blocked me.
Yes, believe me. Oh, honey, believe me. I've been there. I've heard some things about myself that I didn't even know about myself. Like, really?
Years, for years and
So
years, I sat and I was stewing in my anger, and I really wanted to do some
nothing.
damage to her. And I
Yes,
just wanted to, I
right.
just said,
Exactly.
forget this
Exactly.
community. I
Yeah,
just,
yeah.
and I just said, don't retreat.
Exactly. I got the same
You are the
message.
mystic.
I got the same message in regards to a situation. I remember this was last year. I created a tornado. Like, I had become that incensed and that angry that I left my body and watched myself foam at the mouth and my head rotated. Like, I became that angry over one human being. One human being, right? I was that incensed. And it was like, no, never again. I cannot let a human being drive me to this place because I got to that place of destruction. I was
Hmm.
that angry, you know? So we do have to be mindful. When we talk about grounding and all of that, there's so much more. I said it before. When you get up early in the morning, go outside and listen. You will hear nothing.
Hmm.
Pause, wait. Take a couple of times for some of y'all, and you will feel the earth go,
Hmm.
and then you'll hear the chirping and all the activity. That's when you experience that, I'm telling you, you have plugged in. You
Yes, that's
plugged
true.
in.
Spirituality. I was saying, a lot of people think spirituality is like just walking around and just skipping through, a field of sunflowers and spraying aura sprays, and then,
Yes,
burning
waving
sage.
sage and
No,
lighting
no.
candles and you chopping.
Spirituality is when you alchemize the energy that's coming at you,
Got you.
adverse energy, and you
Ashe.
alchemize it. And like, Queen of Set just said, the enemy, when we can say it, the enemy forces you to grow. But when you experience it, when you are in the middle, when they take you to that place of anger, and then you just turn it around,
Yes.
and then you turn it around, and then you get this, and then you get eureka, you get your eureka moment. Nobody else is around. There's no guru around. It's
No,
just
there
you.
isn't.
You're in a
Yep.
place, you are really about to do something, like you don't care, you risk it all, like the young people say. But
Mhm.
then a click, something just comes in, the divine comes in, because you've been doing the work, because you are spirit, you are spiritual. And then
Right.
it just, the light bulb goes off. You're like, you know what? No. And you turn that energy around and you alchemize it. And then that's spirit. That's when you are the guru. That's when you become a guru. I'm telling you, it'll humble you. Just because you have power, when you can't, when you know I have this power, but you know what? I'm not going to use it.
Right. Right.
That's
That's
true spirituality, and that's the
yes.
power of the mystic. That's the
Yeah.
power of the seven.
Mhm.
That's
Exactly.
the power of the seven life path. They are the mystic. It's not about walking around, spraying freaking. Oh my God, what people do these days. I'm only gonna wear white. Good vibrations only.
Yeah.
I don't swear. I don't say the
Yeah.
F word. I don't. There's no negativity here. That's not spirituality.
That's why I always say I am not bothered by bring it because I know how to transmute it. Right. I'm not swayed by anything that I've never been in that place where I need to protect myself.
Hmm. That's
Right.
another thing that they'll say. You need to protect your
Protect. I
energy.
need to protect.
Bring
Uh,
it. Bring it.
how
Because it's
right.
gonna be fuel.
Yes. How? Like, that's impossible. Right? I can't hold a star in my hand. How? What energy am I protecting myself from? We could barely cover ourselves from the freaking rain. Like, come on.
Hmm.
Right? The trees and the flowers exist with the pouring rain and the sun coming down. They still thrive. They still grow. We, the animals, out in the out there in the wild, and they learn how to live with that. They learn how to be in alignment with that. We human beings, we want things to be cush and comfortable. We don't want to be distressed. And in that desire not to be distressed, we are causing problems.
Hmm.
That's where these problems are coming from. I'm not saying for 1 minute everything should be all sweetness and light, unicorns and rainbows. Hell no. Not at all. That's right, Kim. Toxic positivity.
That's it.
I'm not saying that, you know. So, with that, anyone have any questions? Oh boy, like wow. This was a good conversation. Yes, we'll be back. Do you want to can you set a date for next month?
Of course. I mean, I'm like, my work is.
Let's say
I work around your schedule because you're more busy than
okay.
me.
Well,
I
we
just
can
have
keep
that one client, that one lady that drives me crazy, but I love her to death.
I know.
So I may be late, and so is her.
Oh,
Otherwise,
Jordan, good. I'm glad you ordered it. Thank you, Jordan. I
thank you,
know you
Jordan.
love it. Yes. So, First, we'll do the first Saturday of the month. We'll say
Mm-hmm.
that now until things change.
Okay.
Guys, you know that I am technologically challenged. I admit that. I will take that to the grave. You know I don't edit anything. I still Here's what I thought. I thought that I could go back to the link that we had last week, last month, and reconnect. Yeah, I know. That was the You see what I mean? But now like I know how to do it
That was
better.
Egbe. No, that's Egbe. They
That's
wanted to be talked about today. I didn't even. They're
yeah,
like, you guys
exactly.
talking about Orishas. What about us?
Yeah, what about us? Like seriously, like guys, my deck is always here and I come in to set up and for the first few minutes I cannot find my deck. Like it was on the desk. Why can't I find my deck? What are you talking about? I just had it in my hand. So I have to get up and I go and I find my other deck and I come and sit back down
It's
and
right
lo
there.
and behold, the other deck is right here. Like, you see? Yeah. Okay. So, does anyone have any questions? Anything that we want to do moving forward? Send us a message. Put all your ask your questions. Ask your questions. Come in with your commentary. Share the things that you've heard, things that you have learned. Yes, it is time to eat. Um, all of that, right? We're open. Thank you, Gerald, so much for bringing that perspective of Eshu Elegua.
Mm-hmm.
Share with all of us because now everyone has a different, broader idea, right? I'm hoping that it's clearer, especially if you have any sort of um if you feel like you have any sort of connectivity to the Orisha, to Eshu, because the popular stance is Eshu's at the railroad tracks. Is that where they are?
No, the crossroads. Just
The
the
cross.
railroad.
No. Some people. Well, the crossroads. I know. I'm talking about
Oh,
anyway wherever they go, like
yeah.
crossroads, right? Yeah. Okay. Anyway, right.
This is the
Okay.
railroad track.
Yes. Okay. I know that's Ogun, but listen, right? But see, that's all part of it too. You know what I'm saying? Now listen.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but Eshu is everywhere.
It's
Okay?
every, yeah, exactly.
We're gonna leave that. We're gonna leave that there. Right?
Yes, that's
Eshu,
it.
Eshu is everywhere. So I see that slip. All right, Ogun, I get you. Okay, but yes,
Thank you, Leslin.
yes. Thank you, Leslyn. Great. Gerald, thank you so much. Hopefully you'll join us. Um, yeah, 87 pages in the guidebook, right? Um, in the future, Amanat will be working on a more comprehensive
Yeah,
guidebook.
I'm working on that now, as a matter of fact.
Yes. Yeah, right. But you could also deepen yours. So when you get your deck, one of the things I had done, and you'll see this, um, I did this real quick. But can you see it? No, you cannot. Maybe it's not for me to show.
You put the page number, the card note number.
Yeah, I put the card number
Mm-hmm.
page when I flipped through. That was me. It just makes it easier for me to find the card when I'm doing the readings and such like that. And then Aminat will also send you a PDF that gives you a little bit more information and such.
Yeah, and that four card. Let me tell you guys something.
That
Maybe
four
next
card
time.
spread. Woo!
Isn't that good?
Oh
Listen,
my
it
God.
surprised me. It surprised
Listen,
me.
you remember when I did it? I didn't even use the Iyami Oracle deck. Okay, this is the four. Oh yeah, we're going to talk about that. You
We're
guys,
gonna talk about it the next time.
yeah, next time we'll talk about that four card spread the next time.
That's
And
been
those of
blowing
you
my
who have
mind.
your deck, when you get your deck, do that four card spread and try that four card spread with any of your other decks. I
It
did that
is.
four card spread with another deck, and it was like, ah,
It's actually surprised me, and
yeah,
especially with that question you had asked, and then I did that. The Kwanzaa thing that really helped me
yes,
to start. I'm like, whoa, because I haven't
yes.
stopped into 2 years. We want to talk about sitting. I've been on the go.
Oh, yeah,
Just go, go,
yeah.
go, go. This is the
Uh-huh.
3 months. This last 3 months is when I've actually sat
That
in and with this. and
Yeah,
relook at what I have done. So I'm like, whoa,
exactly.
this is real. This is like
Yeah,
really deep.
safe. Yeah. So you guys, you have your assignment for the next month that we meet, right? Remember, last month's assignment was, what card did you pull to bring the energy, to tap into, to bring that energy into 2023? So if you could share that with us when we meet again in February. And when you get your deck and you'll get that PDF, do that spread. Do that. So I'm expecting you guys to have your notebooks. And please bring your questions about
Hmm.
anything, everything, because we have so much to go into. We have numerology, we have
Hmm.
colors, we
Hmm.
have, um, I mean, we could tap a little bit into astrology. There's so much that can go in to this. And the reigning Orisha for this year is Oshun and Obatala, right?
Yeah.
Oshun is the youngest Orisha. She's the baby,
Hmm.
right? But also one of the most powerful
She's
connections.
water, you know,
Yes,
she's water. And I like what you said about Obatala, really using what you have. And because, he's simplicity.
exactly.
He
Yeah,
doesn't like a lot of
all of stuff.
clutter.
Yeah.
He's
You
the
know what
most like minimalist.
I mean?
That's the
Uh-huh.
word.
Yeah.
Obatala. Minimalist. That's it.
Okay. Just my thing for you moving forward until we meet again, if you don't remember this, like when you encounter anything, pause. Pause. Just pause and then move forward. In that pause is when the answers will come, the clarity will come.
Ashe.
Okay? So with that, I say Mo Dupwe, Adupwe, thank you so much for
Thank
joining
you.
us.
Thank you, everyone. Thank
And
you,
we,
those who ordered. Thank you
yes,
very much.
and we shall see you the first Saturday of next month in February. Bye,
Bye, everyone.
Odabo.
Bye. Thanks, everyone.